Hello. What's up, everyone? I hope you're all doing well and had a fantastic weekend as usual. It's good to be back. I have to admit, I'm saying good to be back because I haven't been super active on YouTube, and that's because these past 2 weeks have been extremely boring. Extremely boring, at least for my personal strategy. You guys know this inside the Discord. I have been pretty inactive, staying on the sidelines, waiting for the next big setup. However, we have the monthly close next week, and I do believe that we are heading potentially into a pretty nice setup. So with that said, as usual, okay, we have some live chats. Hello, Nicholas. Is the sound good? Just before we dive into everything. We're not gonna waste too much time today simply because the recap's gonna be very fast. But I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds for more live chats. So, could anyone confirm that the sound is good, even though it should be? If not, then I'll just. Okay, perfect. So, with that said, let's dive into the recap, which will be extremely quick. Last Sunday, I was looking for a deviation above $72,000. So I was looking for two potential scenarios, which was just a failed auction above this high, or or the second one would have been a move a bit higher into my resistance, which was around $76,000 for also a short position. As you can see, nothing happened this week, right? We just went sideways. We had an extremely tight range of like on average 4% for the entire week, which is extremely tight, low volume, nothing interesting. So, yeah, but we did talk about this potential target, which was a wickless 4-hour candle. I think on Binance it was a bit more obvious. I go over to Binance. Yeah, no, it's the same. But we did have this wickless 4-hour candle that we talked about at 66.1. We jumped into it and it did offer, if I now hide this, and it did offer a bit of support, as you can see. So for the recap, again, it will be extremely quick. I didn't do anything this week. I woke up on Monday. We got this first part of the plan, which is that I want to see Bitcoin go sideways until Monday's open, then go up. We went sideways. We did go up. But then after that, of course, we went back down. But personally, I was not interested in any leveraged longs. So still nothing to do. We came back down. We headed into 66.1, which was the level that we talked about last Sunday. But for me, I didn't want to try this long position simply because I was aiming for a deviation below $65,000. And honestly, that was mainly it for this week. We did have a 4-hour imbalance right at the low on Binance. I will show it to you right on the chart. Let's go on Binance. On the 4-hour, you can see we had a 4-hour imbalance, which did mark the weekly low. I was potentially looking to trade it, just a bit of advice, because I think this could help you in future setups. We talked about this wickless candle on the 4-hour, but guess what we had after this 4-hour candle to enter a long position on the 30-minute. I can remove the 7. We just had this very ugly wickless 30-minute candle. We got the retest of it, and that was after the 4-hour imbalance candle at the low. So you could have taken this long position, which I was personally looking at. In the end, I decided not to take it, but wickless candle on the 30-minute, a 4-hour imbalance, prices overextended to the downside, and would have offered a nice bounce of until now 3.5%. That's of course if you took some profits at the high. So just a bit of advice once again that you can use in future trades. When I talk about wickless candles, especially on the daily charts, you guys know I talk about wickless daily candles on the daily chart a lot, but these can also be used on the lower time frames, as we did last week with this 4-hour wickless 4-hour candle, okay, which offered a bit of support. But with that said, enough yapping about what happened this week. I think we're all interested in what could potentially happen this week. The big thing that we have to note is that we have the monthly close, which means a new monthly open. I'm just going to take a vertical line and put it on the monthly close. which will be on Sunday. Okay, so we will have a new monthly candle on Sunday. So with this in mind, personally, ideally, what I would like to see is for price to go down and potentially go sideways until the monthly close, and from there I would like to see a move up into $76,000. So what this would look like would be a drop. Ideally it would be a Monday drop. You will talk about the Monday pivots once again, but Monday drop, and from there, even if we get that trade, I wouldn't expect a straight move to the upside. My expectation for this week is that if we do indeed drop on Monday and we see a recovery, we will probably go sideways for the rest of the week, maybe even get a deep retest until next week. And that's when we will start Bitcoin seeing a recovery to the upside, potentially back above this high. Okay, so this would be my plan. Sideways price action, a first move down, take out this liquidity, go sideways for the rest of the week, but then offer the move up into next week. Okay, so I think for me that would be the best plan. Of course, if we move up first and we don't take out this low, so if we just, for example, do this and we go up, then still we can look for that short position up into $76,000. But I have to admit, just for the monthly close, I would love to see Bitcoin drop, go sideways, and then offer a move up next month. Okay. Now for the Monday pivots, in case anyone is new and isn't aware, Monday pivots are still working. Unfortunately, both of these highs were put in on Sunday. However, what you will see, so let's put, that was a high put in on Sunday, as you can see down there, and this high was also put in on Sunday. However, what happened? We got a retest on Monday. Again, you can see down there, down for the rest of the week. And this Monday, the exact same thing. Dude, why is it not working? And this Monday, the exact same thing. We moved up into Monday and we went down for the rest of the week. So even though the initial high was put in on Sunday, these past 2 weeks, the Monday pivots are still working. We've been talking about them. Right, Monday pivots are working pretty well. Move up into Monday, down for the rest of the week. Move up into Monday, down for the rest of the week. So for me, ideally this week, what I would like to see is a Monday low. Okay, it could be Tuesday Asia. We will have to keep an eye on this, but ideally a Monday low, put in a low on Monday, up, sideways, and a move up into next month. Okay, guys. Now for the levels below 65, I don't have much. The only thing I can say, we just talked about wickless candles. We have a 1 hour wickless candle, if you guys want to mark it out, right there at 63.3. So that could potentially be a level. Funnily enough, that's where my line ends, but this could be a level to keep in mind. For myself, I'm going to remove it because as soon as we break below this low, I'm just going to be looking at imbalances and at wicks. Okay, if you guys remember, you can go over to Discord. When I closed my last short position, okay, which was this one at $65,000, that's when I fully closed my short position. The reason for that was not because I had a level, right? My level was at 58, but because we had a 4-hour imbalance with a nice wick. And after this, if we go back over to the charts, you can see that this 4-hour imbalance ended up offering the low for this consolidation that we are seeing today. So that's mainly what I will be looking for. And remove this. And with that said, that would be my Sunday plan. Sunday plan. I'm happy with that. Of course, once again, keep in mind, if we just move up, so if we front run the liquidity at $65,000, this short above will still be in play at $76,000. I'm just not really expecting this to play out. I would like to see a drop into tomorrow. But once again, should we get that move up, I will be extremely interested in a new short at $76,000. So that's what I'm going to say about Bitcoin. On the higher time frames, we can go over to Binance. My plan has not changed. Personally, I don't believe that the low is in just yet. However, in my view, we are heading into a bottom. What I would like to see is what we just talked about on Bybit, a move up into 75, 76, a reversal to the downside, take out this low at $60,000, form the bottom, and from there I would like to see a reversal to the upside. Okay, one last thing I want to say. I have been talking non-stop. If you guys have some questions, leave them in the live chat. One last thing I want to say, which is important for the mindset inside of this range. Even though I am expecting just one more low, I don't think that this low is ready to get taken out yet. Okay, I think it's too early to take out this low. And that's why if we break below $65,000, if people on Twitter, for example, are spreading a lot of fear and you get affected by this, just keep in mind, at least that's my view. Of course, you can disagree. It's too early to break this low, in my opinion. So if we get the break below $65,000, this could offer a very, very nice long position for a move back up above $72,000, potentially into $76,000. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about Bitcoin. We can move on to Ethereum. Well, on the higher time frames, not much has changed on Ethereum, right? We had this wickless daily imbalance at 1.8. We jumped into it, got a very nice rejection. Right now, I guess Ethereum could be following the same path as Bitcoin, which would be taking out all of these lows. Okay, and then offering a reversal to the upside, back above $2,150. This is what you could be looking for on Ethereum. I'm gonna remove this level just because I don't like to have a complicated chart on Ethereum. I like to have very few levels, and I mean, it's just very easy to follow what will happen next. Just take the lows of this range that we have down here. So not much to say on Ethereum. Once again, for spot buys, I think, not financial advice, but for me, it's a good area to start buying spot on Ethereum. And I think that's mainly what I want to say. That is mainly what I want to say. Let me go over to Binance for a bit. Okay, not much. Okay. Now, someone did ask me privately to cover Bitcoin Cash, so I am going to cover this. After this, we can look at the stock market and precious metals. So Bitcoin Cash. Let's see. Oof. That is a crazy chart. What was that? That was a while ago. And that almost worked out. Or was that a support? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this. I completely forgot what that level was. Weekly. We have a pretty big wick, but I don't know. Take this low. 3-day. Okay, we have an order block. I'm gonna keep this in mind. Let's go on the daily. Let's go on the 12-hour. That's a decent level, I guess. 4-hour. I keep this low. We have, that's a nice level. There it is. We just talked about wickless candles, so I'm gonna take this order block. We have a wickless 4-hour candle. We have an imbalance just above. Gonna be below this 12-hour imbalance. Okay. Look at the point of control. So this one will be on the imbalance. Okay. Okay, value area volume. Okay, that is an interesting area to look for on Bitcoin Cash. You have an anchored VWAP, but this one is going to get higher. So I guess you could, I mean, keep an eye on this liquidity, but from what I'm seeing, take this level and then you take this order block below. Don't love giving multiple levels, even though it's just 2 levels. I know usually people give you like 50 levels to look at, but personally I like to be as accurate as possible. But on this coin, I just have these two levels, 527, and then you have an area around 510. All you have to do is just wait for the drop, okay? If we can drop, which I guess we will drop just because of Bitcoin, can look for the reaction on that first level. And then if it breaks, okay, so if you have no reaction or if you take the long and then you get stopped out at break even because you got a bounce, then you can look at that second level and then look for another long position. I do like this level a bit more just because of the wickless candle and the order block, but that's mainly what I am seeing on Bitcoin Cash. Nothing else is jumping right at me. We do have a lot of volume around this imbalance, okay? So just keep an eye on 527. Even though we have a second level, this is not a weak level. Except, of course, if we don't get any reaction, then just delete it from your chart. So that's all. That's all I'm going to say on Bitcoin Cash. Looks like a strong recovery. For now, I would like to leave this liquidity alone just for later. Then when you get that move up, just like Bitcoin, you're going to look for that reversal back to the downside and a break back below this low. That would be my guess on what would happen on this coin, okay? But for now, just leave that liquidity alone, in my opinion. Could be wrong, but that's just how I'm reading the chart right here. Any levels above 75,700 for Bitcoin, likelihood of getting there? I don't have any level above 76, okay? I know that people are talking about the CME gap, but we talked about, if you go back on the live stream that we did right after we got the CME gap, so I guess that would have been... Where's the CME gap? 1 second. So I guess that would have been on this Sunday, on the 1st of Feb. If you go back to this live stream, what I said was that the CME gap was very unlikely to get filled, in my opinion. I think the CME was somewhere around $82,000. I forgot, but you can check on the CME chart or you can just look at the chart. Let me just look very quickly. Friday, your CME would be right there, I guess, at $84,000. In my opinion, it is very unlikely that the CME gaps gets filled. We talked about this during this live stream, and as you can see, we didn't go back into it at all. We just came back up, we took out the range highs, we went back down, completely leaving the CME gap behind. If I open the CME chart just to show you one last time, let's go over to the CME. You can see we still have this gap up there. So for me, I think this is very, very, very unlikely to get filled. I'd say even if we move back into it, that would be a big sign of strength, because at this point, if we break above $76,000, I could see price going much higher. And this is where, of course, in case you're like afraid that the low is in, personally, I really don't think that the low is in. I think we have one more low to come. But if you are afraid that the low could be in, then this long, of course, if we take it right here, let's say, that would be your target, okay? This long, if this resistance gets broken, could turn into a much bigger long position. I'm not expecting this to happen, but of course, it is a possibility. You have to keep all options open in your mind, okay? Very unlikely that this happens, but it is possible, okay? But no, above 76, I don't have any level. Likelihood to get there, I would say we have a very big chance of taking out $72,000. I don't know about 76, okay? So it would start at 75.2 all the way up to 76.2. So I don't know if we reach this level. We could just take this high and then reverse. But I don't know. I would really like to see that move up just to get that bigger deviation and then get a big drop to the downside. I think that would get the most amount of fear in the market. That would be a very big bull trap if you kind of break above this high and continue up. I think that would be a massive bull trap just because people are afraid of missing the low. So yeah, I would like 76, but I guess we'll have to see if we get there or not, right? So now we can move over quickly. We'll move over to the stock market. I guess nothing has changed, right? Just beware of our area above, which has been rejected multiple times. I don't trade the stock market, I just invest, but is it a time to be buying up here? I mean, you make up your mind. I don't think it's a time to be buying. I think the time to be buying was down there on during April. Right now, it is time to be cautious because if the stock markets wants to drop and take out this ugly low, it would make the most sense to get it from here. Okay. Of course, after that, we could reverse to the upside. I'm not talking about a collapse, but just about a nice pullback. It could be from here. Okay, so just keep this in mind. And then, I mean, we've talked about gold and silver multiple times. We are seeing a bit of a range form, but for me, it's nothing really to get too excited about. Once again, we had the fib pocket up there that offered a massive rejection. If you go back in time and look at silver, when it put in an all-time high and a massive drop, guess what happened? Okay, the exact same thing happened. We got a big drop. We got a decent recovery, a very decent recovery, right? The all-time high was at 50. We dropped to 32 and you got a bounce all the way back up to 43. Okay, so in percentage term, that was a fairly big bounce of 36%. So I am getting people that are talking to me and asking me again about silver. Why is it going back up? Well, look what happened in history, right? After the all-time high, you get a very nice retracement. So for me, the exact same thing is happening right now. Can go to the present. What is happening now? We got the all-time high. We got the drop. Potentially, we get a nice retracement, but then I would expect silver to continue its way down. Okay, that would make the most sense. Just looking at the euphoria, looking at the technical level, looking at the overall kind of structure, looking at the history, I think everything is pointing towards sideways price action, potentially to the upside, but then a continuation to the downside. Nothing surprising there, in my opinion. Okay, just look at history. This is the best way. This is the best way you can understand these assets that literally offer you a move once every freaking 500 years. Okay, it's just to look at the last time that you got an all-time high, what happened, and then you would get a pretty nice picture of what is potentially happening right now on silver. Okay, so with that said, looks like we don't have any more questions in the live chat. Bit quieter than usual, but I guess it's my fault for not being active on YouTube. We still have a couple of viewers, so it's nice to see you guys. Of course, if you could leave a like on the live stream, that would be massively appreciated. Everything that we do is for free, and well, I am not afraid to say we probably have one of the highest hit rate on social medias, if not the highest hit rate. Okay, I'm not gonna go back in time and talk about every pivot that we predicted, but we have been fairly accurate. Okay, so with that said, should I do a recap on Bitcoin? Let me take a look at Solana quickly. I mean, yeah. Man, these were beautiful. Not much to say on Solana. 51, I guess. Other than that, probably gonna follow the same pattern as Bitcoin. Just interesting that we had a daily imbalance up there. That was a bit early, man. We were just starting to go sideways. But just keep in mind, 92, we have a daily imbalance. And then we have a 12-hour above, so you could look at this as an area. I don't trade Solana, so I don't really care, but I would say 92 to 96, just keep in mind this nice area on Solana. Okay, other than that, I don't think I need to say much more. Just follow Bitcoin, and I guess follow Ethereum as well. Okay, guys. So with that said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for leaving likes if you could. As mentioned, it's free. I'm not really doing this for free. So with that said, what I'm expecting this week, last time I will talk about the lower time frame and the higher time frame. This week, what I would like to see is a Monday low, right? Even though we put in highs on both Sundays, the Monday pivots are still working. We got a Monday high right there, down for the rest of the week. A Monday high right there, down for the rest of the week. So can we get a Monday low for this week and then up? Or, I mean, it would still be up, but personally, I would like to see a bit more ranging above that low. before we see a nice impulse to the upside during the next month. Okay, that would be for the lower time frames. Once again, if we don't get the job and we get the move up first, personally, I am very confident in the shorts above $70,000. It could be an SFP or it could be to 76. We'll have to see what happens then. For now, it doesn't really matter because price is still at $67,000. On the higher time frames for investors, it is, once again, not financial advice, but in my opinion, it is a good time to start buying spot. I am personally still expecting one more low somewhere between $60,000 to $54,000, we can call it. Okay, that would be a massive area to hold as support for Bitcoin. And from there, I would expect the bear market low to be in to see higher prices for the upcoming years and a move back obviously above $130,000. Nothing too surprising there. And on this note, I'm done yapping. Thank you for the people that hopped in the live chat. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I still really appreciate it. And with that said, I'm not gonna waste your time any longer. Let's see. I'm hoping that we get some nice volatility this week because I have been pretty bored. I would like to hop in a trade, but we have to work with what the market offers. If it goes slowly, I'm not gonna bother taking any trades. If we get a nice drop, I'm gonna get aggressive. And that's it. So see you tomorrow morning, everyone, inside the Discord. In case anyone here is new, you can join our Discord. It is free. The link should be in the description. I will also post it in the comments. Okay, so just look out for the comments in case you want to join the Discord. But it should be available in the description as well. And so enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. And on this note, I'm gonna see you all tomorrow morning inside the Discord. So see you tomorrow, everyone, and goodbye.